friends, I am Vivian McPeak, and this is Hempresent. If you have feedback or would like to suggest a guest or topic for Hempresent, email me at hempresent@gmail.com. Marie Ray Correa is a cannabis artist and activist. She has served the cannabis industry for nearly 18 years. She's the creator of such works as the Pretty Stony Company, and most notably, she's the author and artist of the Cannabis Coloring Book. Marie Ray is more popularly known as the artist Cushed Out and is now wrapping up her third volume of the Cannabis Coloring Book, which she created cover to cover. She currently carries over 550 items on her online store, and Marie Ray, or Cushed Out, makes all of those items herself, and I have her here today to tell us about it. Welcome, Cushed Out, to Cannabis Radio.
Hey there. Thank you so much for having me, Vivian. I really appreciate it. I'm very honored. I definitely thank you for your time and for the consideration for being a guest on your show. So thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. You know, I've completed around 300 episodes of Hempresent, covering just about everything hemp and cannabis and beyond. But this is the first time I've had a guest come on to talk about their cannabis coloring book. I have, in the past, seen several weed-related coloring books, but I must say that yours, in my opinion, yours stands out from the rest. And I want to get into why I think it stands out. But first, just what gave you the idea? What motivated you to do a cannabis coloring book series?
Oh, wow. I'm so happy that you asked me that and that you are letting me know that because, I very much, thought about it way, way well through. I wanted to think about every single detail and I didn't want to patronize cannabis. So my whole motivation for this coloring book actually was after seeing one of the youngest medical marijuana patients' stories on a YouTube channel. And I seen his story, and the first volume is actually dedicated to him. You'll see his name within the volume. And I was inspired because I wanted to teach people about cannabis. I also wanted people to be comfortable with teaching about cannabis. So I didn't want to include different drawings in there with, joints or bongs or any of that paraphernalia. And I wanted to concentrate solely on the cannabis plant. And that's why it's called the Cannabis Coloring Book, not the Stoner Coloring Book or the 420 book. It's the Cannabis Coloring Book.
Yeah, I have to say it's a lot more of a serious approach than I've seen in a lot of kind of goofy, fun but goofy coloring books. And I've seen several.
Yeah,
You do all the artwork yourself, and the
I
art's
do.
really, really good. Where did you develop your artistic talent from?
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm self-taught, and it's something that I even was telling myself just yesterday that I really even want to start going to art school because everything that I've always done is a self-taught, craft. But I've been drawing cannabis now for 18 years. So I started just doodling it and, thinking to myself halfway through it, drawing the first one that I was like 5 hours into, if it was going to be worth it. And I had to tell myself, you only know if you give it gas, if you actually, apply pressure. That's the only way you'll actually ever will know. And I'm so happy that I stuck with it because when it came to me drawing these plants, I really wanted to capture the essence and the beauty of cannabis so that when I explain to people how beautiful cannabis is, I just have to show them one of my drawings and they will be able to understand so much.
The layout is really, really pro as well. Was that a learning process for you?
Well, yeah, I wanted to make it educational. So this is the thing about it. I did everything from cover to cover. So I almost broke my cranium trying to complete this. I believe, it feels like I'm like, oh my God, I need to put it down before like it gives me a bigger headache because it's a lot. It's a lot within the book. It's very tedious what I did, but I'm so happy that I accomplished it because it's so educational. I have the company that does all the coloring books for your children's schools, which is coloringbooks.com, print my coloring book. And they're so proud of the work that I've completed because they're into educational coloring books.
Nice, nice. Well, let's point out something important, and that is that your cannabis coloring books are not for children; they're for adults. Why is that? And what kind of reception have you received for your coloring
Well,
books?
it's for everyone actually. I want it to be for everyone. I have my friends' kids draw it in the coloring book. I have my
Okay,
friends comfortably, introducing this coloring book to their children. And the first coloring book is actually dedicated to a child. So
okay.
it's something I want you to share with everyone. And having the, support from coloringbooks.com, who are my printers, they're in the children's space of doing educational content, and they're really proud of that. So it's something I want you to share with your children, with your whole family, actually. It's something I don't want you to be ashamed of. I'm so tired of stoners being shamed for being cannabis consumers. That's not, I'm trying to end that stigma, you know?
Here, here, I totally agree, and I stand
Thank
corrected on that point. Um, your coloring books stand out, as I said in the beginning, I believe, from the others because they contain so much educational information as they do pages to color, and particularly your second volume. I mean, there's just really a lot of good information in there. Why was it important to you to include all that education?
I wanted to make it so creative that when you picked it up, you couldn't put it down. You needed to have it. That was my whole idea behind it. I needed to make a product that was going to be so creative that you were going to love every page within it. And that's exactly what I did, from the drawings that I have through the to the A through C within the coloring book, which includes a cannabis timeline. It includes cannabis information, so many pages. So it'd be a page of a drawing and then page of information, activity information. And that's the whole book. It's full of so much cannabis knowledge. And my whole idea was to make it so unique that no one could replicate it. No one would even try to copy what I do because it's way too much. It's way too well thought out. No one could do what I do.
How long does it take you to produce, to create, like
Each
one of the
drawing.
more recent volumes?
Okay, so I mean, like, but so each one of my drawings takes me anywhere from 10, 15 hours to complete, sometimes up to 20, depending on how detailed or how big the drawing is. So that goes into the coloring book. The second one has 13 of my drawings. And then we have, different activities like connect the pot instead of connect the dot. So I wanted to get really, creative with that. You have tree mazes as well too. You have word searches. You have word scrabbles. You have so many different things within the book, correct? So it took so much time to get all of that in. I would say months, but I did it during the pandemic, so I only did have time to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What kind of reception have you had? What kind of response have you had from people in your community, in the cannabis
People
community?
people love it. They've received it so well because it's so different. And like we were talking, it's so well thought out. It's something that you're actually very excited to share with people because it's all about education. And it's not about, oh, well, look at these stoners, you know what I mean, with their stoner art and, bongs and joints. And I want it to be respected. And that's exactly the uh, reception it's received, that it's well, respected, and people really do love how detailed it is.
I have to say, it really is not a stoner type thing. It's a very beautiful, well done, professionally produced publication. I was really impressed. Like I say, I've seen quite a few coloring books, but I haven't seen anything really that I thought was on the par of yours. They're really nice.
Thank you. And even coloringbooks.com said that they wanted to do a press release, that they do a few press releases a year because the coloring book is something that they're really proud of as well too. So I really appreciate that. Thank you very much, Vivian.
No problem, no problem. We are going to come to our first break, but don't go anywhere. We're going to go back with our second segment with Kushed Out and her cannabis coloring books.
Time to roll out for the people that let us Hempresent. Hang loose. We're coming right back.
And we're back for the second segment. I am talking to Kushed Out, talking about her cannabis coloring book series and more. Do you create everything like the word Scrabble, the answer keys, the bibliography?
Yes, I actually did everything from cover to cover. Like there's no editing, team helping me do anything. I did everything, even the connect the pod, which that activity alone takes a few hours because I have to go in dot by dot outlining one of my drawings, and that's so tedious. But yes, everything I do it myself
Where
from
did
the.
you learn how to do things like the word Scrabble and stuff? That's really impressive.
Well, I thought about other educational coloring books, and I thought about, applying the same kind of concept to that, but with cannabis education behind it. Because there's just so much more. And the third volume is going to have that much more. We're talking about Mad Lips as well, too. So it's going to be so many fun things in the next volume, it's actually coming out next year. And it's 72 pages. It's almost twice as big as the second volume.
Wow. Wow. Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
What is your personal history of cannabis? How and when were you first introduced to the plant?
Oh, Vivian, thank you for asking. I've been a cannabis consumer since I was, a teenager, I think. And well, yeah, about 14, 15 years old. It was something that, we did as teenagers, growing up in Los Angeles and listening to like Cypress Hill, because I went to the same high school as B Real did. And so I think that's my inspiration. I really thought to myself, if that's a motivation, I could follow the same. I could be the same. Why can't I be a famous pothead? So for me, I've been smoking cannabis since then, since I was an adolescent, but we were surrounded with so much of who is the industry leaders today, like, Be Real from Cypress Hill. He was definitely somebody that I looked up to growing up where I did.
So I've got your second volume in my hand right now, and some of the information contents are the definition of cannabinoid, cannabis, CBD and THC, cannabis clinical studies, cannabis crimes, cannabis culture, cannabis decriminalization, dosage, cannabis as drug therapy, cannabis facts, cannabis in government, cannabis growing, the difference between indica, sativa, and hemp, cannabis in kids, cannabis legalization, cannabis medical, medical studies, cannabis products, cannabis prohibition, cannabis propaganda, cannabis public opinion, recreational cannabis research, cannabis synthesized, a timeline of the kind of the history of cannabis, a glossary of cannabis terms or a dictionary of terms, side effects, withdrawal. I mean, wow, really impressive.
Thank you.
Something that people would never expect in a coloring book. And you do all the layout yourself too, huh?
Yeah, I do. I do, Vivian. Like I've actually uh been into graphic design since I was in high school. I took graphic design so many times that I almost didn't graduate because I chose it too many times as an elective. And it was the passion that I always had. I always had a passion for doing something in that space. So when I first started, this is kind of my history. I started with Kushtal Fashions, and that was a clothing line of all of my cannabis plant drawings. And the cannabis coloring book, this idea didn't come to me until 2011. I think it was like the middle of the night, or even before that. I wrote it down. I woke up in the middle of the night. I'm like, I need to create the cannabis coloring book. I don't know why, but I thought it was all a dream when I woke up in the morning, and I was like, that had to be a dream. It was so weird, but sure enough, I looked under my pillow and I did write it. I was like, I need to create the cannabis coloring book. And I'll tell you, like from one idea you create another. So my clothing line, Cushed Out Fashions, which I did all the printing as well for, that's where I get all my motivation to do everything from cover to cover. Here I did all my own printing too on my clothing line. I did the cannabis coloring book, and I also started the Pretty Stony company. But it's all a long history, I think, of my love with graphic design and the arts.
Tell us about your online store.
My online store, it's awesome. I have over 550 items on my online store. I hand make everything that you see, and I also, take special requests as well too, like make to order things. But I have digital art for you to do. If you have like an app on the phone, like a recolor app where you could get my digital art, and then you could do your own drawing on your phone for as little as $1 a piece. And then I have earrings starting at $4.20. Currently right now, for the holiday season, I have really good sales as well too. So this is the time to get something for your stoner friends. But there's so much to choose from. I have earrings, necklaces, bracelets, keychains. I have coloring books, stickers, so many different things.
From where you draw your energy and inspiration, I mean, you are so proactive and you're accomplishing so much. What drives you?
I just, this is my life. This is my life's work. This is all I want to do. I want to create, and I want to leave something behind in this world where I'll be, remembered. But this is the kind of, I think, motivation that you should give your life all the time. I think people, get into a hiatus where they don't follow their dreams sometimes, or they get comfortable, just accepting things. But not me. I want to be able to challenge myself, even if that makes me uncomfortable, because I'm growing, within my space as an entrepreneur. So I want to continue to, come out with new products, even if, maybe they fail to launch, but at least I tried it. So that's my thing. At least I tried it. My motivation is you never know until you try.
Um, tell us more about your company, the Pretty Stony Company.
Pretty stony. So I remember staying up like all night one night, just making all these different knitted necklaces that I had made with little cannabis leaves. And I stayed up all night, and then my roommate, our he came to the living room. He was like, "You've been doing this all night?" And and he looked at the table and he told me, "That's pretty stony." And I was like, "What did you just say?" He was like, "That's pretty stony." And I'm like, "That's the name of the company. That's it. That's the name of the company. We're doing this. This is the Pretty Stony Company." And he's the one who is actually my graphic designer that colors in the plants for me. So I do have a graphic designer that does the coloring for me, that does the vectorizing after I draw everything. And he's the one that inspired me to come up with the name Pretty Stony.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Thank you.
What kind of goals do you have for the future? I mean, what other projects do you have planned?
So for the future, I have so much that I'm going to, get into, but we're coming out with volume 3 of the cannabis coloring book. This next year, I'm doing so many different product drops, from, having my own line of cones to, which is like, papers, to actual, rolling papers as well too. I'm also going to do dab mats, dab tools, rolling trays. And we're going to concentrate on the area of my art mostly, because I think that's what people seem to like the most. And volume 3 is going to be such a great work of art. It's going to be 72 pages, and I'm going to do a special amount of them printed on hemp paper.
Wow, very impressive.
Yes. So I have a couple of things that I have coming up for 2024 as well too, because I'm going to get into the educational space for children's education as well too. And I also planned on dedicating a coloring book to my child. So I want to do a coloring book just for him.
Great.
Thank
It
you.
is time to go to our next break, but we're going to come right back with our final segment, so don't go anywhere.
Time to roll out for the people that let us Hempresent. Hang loose. We're coming right back.
And we are back for our final segment on Hempresent with Marie Ray Correa, aka Cushed Out of the
Hey.
Cannabis coloring books. And I have to say that there's nothing better than being a little cushed out, man. It's a good state of being.
Yeah.
So
I'm pretty stony.
yes, it's good. That's when you're cushed out, you are pretty stony usually. When you're making when you're drawing and creating all these things that you create, because you also make all these products, well, talk to us about the creative environment that you like to work in. Do you like get baked and put music on? Or I mean,
Oh
what?
yeah, I love it. So like, so for me, I set like a reward system for myself. This is what I do. I'm like, I'm gonna smoke this, bowl. I love I like my bowls. That's my thing. I'm an old
Mhm.
school cannabis flower girl, and I'll set my little bowls. I'll part them out, and I'm like, for every 25 pairs that I make, smoke a new bowl. For every 25 pairs, I just keep setting you know what I mean. I just keep setting the field goal line, every single time further more. So that way it's for me a reward when I do create too, and that's what I do. I love to, smoke and also just be creative at home. I have a little home office where I create everything, and I just do everything also I do everything by hand, but I choose all of the materials for my Pretty Stony line. So you're gonna get real good materials, and all throughout my online store, people really do love it. They'll say how good of quality the things that I do make are. But that's because I think that I really take my time with every single piece that I do make.
You kind of mentioned Be Real as one of your influences. Who else are a few of your role models or people that have influenced you in your work ethic?
Oh well, I would say let me see. Well, there's so many people in the cannabis industry that I really do look up to, that I've been fortunate to meet and network with. But they were my inspiration, like for example Snoop Dogg and Wiz Khalifa and Burner. These are people that I look up to and that I want to role model after. I want to be just what I mean, as recognized and as respected as they are for their craft.
Where are you based out of?
Right now, currently I am in Las Vegas, but I'm originally from Los Angeles, and that's exactly where I get all of my inspiration from, growing up in the streets of LA. And I lived there for most of my life, moved to Colorado, then moved to Las Vegas. So I just kind of followed the whole cannabis wave where it's kind of went. But I am in Vegas now. And now I'm thinking about relocating again. So I might go to Washington. Who knows?
I was born and raised in LA as well, but I'm in Seattle now these days. So
Nice.
we got about a minute left. A real quick, how can people check out your products, and what are your final thoughts to leave us with today?
Sure thing. You definitely could check all of my stuff out on prettystony.etsy.com. That's PRETTYSTONEY, prettystony.etsy.com. And on my online store, currently for the holidays, I have really good sales. So definitely, try to partake in that while you can, and give people on your wish list, or your stoner friends and family, something that they're definitely gonna like.
Marie Ray Correa, aka Cushed Out, from the Cannabis Crawling Book. Thank you so much for being on the show. It's been really a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Vivian. I really appreciate it. And like I said, I've been wanting to, talk to you and meet you for a very long time because of your activism in the cannabis industry. So I really appreciate it, and this is a honor. Thank you so much, Vivian.
But before I let you go, just real quick, what advice would you give to somebody listening that would find you as an inspiration? What should they do if they want to start a project like yours?
Follow your dreams. If you can't dream of failure, you already failed to dream.
Great. All right. Well, you take care and stay strong. And once again, it's great having you on the show.
Thank you so much, Vivian. Take care.
All right. Hempy Trails. That concludes this installment of Hempresent on Cannabis Radio. When it comes to prohibition, you've got the right not to remain silent. Activism requires a voice to find your voice and speak up for justice, because resistance is fertile. The Hempresent intro music is Joanne Rand, 7 Mile Beach. And the outro music is Take Back the Plant by Stickerbush. See you next week.
Marijuana, THC, sweet sativa.
The opinions expressed on this CannabisRadio.com program are those of the guests and hosts and do not necessarily reflect those of the staff and management of CannabisRadio.com. Any rebroadcast, republication, or retransmission of this program without proper consent is prohibited.